Yahweh Edain Soultree. Hi, I'm Soultree. Kumusta? Kumusta Soultree? I was born Stephanie Kamba at birth, and I was raised in the Marshall Islands, but I was born in the Philippines. I grew up in Medjugorje. That's where me and my family landed as of 1991 to 2001. So I was there from age 1 till 11 in the capital city, Medjugorje. And I grew up being Catholic, going to Assumption Elementary School. My aunt was a teacher there, and that's where I learned the Marshallese language, Marshallese religion, folk stories, cultural arts, and I would call it indigenous sciences, the way that we related to the environment around us. And we left when I was 11 years old because of 9/11. My mom was a travel agent at the time, and we were told that shipments of food and water weren't going to come. It was indefinite how long it would be before we could resupply. And we ended up in Arkansas for a couple of years, and then to Chicago, Illinois, Chicagoland area for another decade. And now I'm here in Tongva territory, Los Angeles, currently in Long Beach here at PIAM, Pacific Island Ethnic Arts Museum. And I experienced COVID, the COVID pandemic while I was here. I didn't personally have COVID, but when 2009 hit, me and my partner had just moved here. And then after 6 months, COVID happened. And during that time, I was continuing a project with the Field Museum. I was supporting them as a co-curator. I was doing interpreting, translation, facilitation between Marshallese community and the field, both in Chicago and in Enid, Oklahoma, where the third largest population of Marshallese community are. And so during COVID, we were continuing the editing of this exhibit. So we started the Marshallese exhibit collaboration in 2019. And so during COVID, we were just editing virtually, communicating, doing outreach. And during that time, they had asked me to do this work of connecting more Marshallese people to this issue. And thankfully, the Marshall Islands did not, they closed their borders, so they did not have a COVID outbreak. However, Marshallese folks here in the United States did experience a high number of COVID cases, a lot of COVID deaths, and a lot of COVID cases expanding because of multi-generational, multi-family homes that our community was in, but also that a lot of our Marshallese community members worked in factories and in jobs that did expose them to disease and that didn't protect them under the essential workers laws. And so while we were doing this exhibit, essentially Marshallese folks and myself were doing work for free. We were also being tasked by a museum to continue with this exhibit and doing research and other types of work while our community was suffering. Our community was one of the hardest hit with COVID, and it was really heartbreaking. It was really overwhelming, and not only did I experience that from hearing about my Marshallese community and family members going through what they were going through, but this was also hitting the Philippine community that is in the healthcare field, is in all similarly in fields that are not protected by these essential workers laws. And we also didn't really listen to protocol. Like our family and lineage cultures, we cannot do separation well. Like it is so challenging. And so a lot of times it was hard for our community to follow protocol, and it was also impossible because of their multi-generational homes. And thankfully, a lot of our community has stayed strong and stayed together through all these deaths, and the recovery period and the grieving period is still very much deep. And I'm so proud of the work that is being done here at PIAM, that our elders and our youth are doing to just make sense and to heal, continue healing through this pandemic. And I'm just inspired, and also just keeping my prayers up for our continued healing and wellness. At this very pivotal time in the pandemic in our world, it is important for community members to get vaccinated, because that is one of our main protections. You know, whether you have insurance or not, vaccination will help improve your immune system or protect your immune system from the COVID disease. There are proteins within this vaccine, all the vaccines, that will help be your coverage for fighting against COVID. It doesn't mean that you may not receive it. It doesn't mean that you cannot spread it, but it means that you will have that protection and that safety net for you and your loved ones.